Hey folks, John with Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. So I have a friend of mine, a fellow YouTuber out there, the Last Game Hunter, and I'll shoot a link down here for you. But the guy is a huge fan of DEEPCOOL products, and I don't know if it's necessarily because they're a sponsor. I don't know if they actually are or not, but I know he really digs their products. So we had a client came in this weekend that he wanted to build kind of a low-end to low-mid gaming machine. So we thought, what the heck, what a great chance to test this stuff out. So let's check out what we're working with today. Back with you guys. Look at the size of this thing, dude. This is a mid-tower case. So this is a DEEPCOOL MATREXX 50 case. Look at this thing. It's actually quite a bit bigger than you would think for a mid-tower, but I'm assuming that means because we've got some pretty cool packaging inside this thing. So we'll take a look at it. Now I want to let you know what we're putting in this system before we get too carried away. To give you a rundown on what we're going to be putting into this thing. So what we're doing is we were working on a very, very tight budget when it came to this system. So we're going to be using the Gigabyte A320M motherboard, and I'm pretty certain that everybody out there has actually seen this. Now, the reason we went with this board was not only for the fact that it was cost effective, but also because it's a pretty solid board. And the client had brought me the only two components he had. Those two components were the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, great processor, and he had 16 gigabytes of RAM. So this is what we were going to use with this motherboard. So that's why we had that. We're going to go with a Thermaltake Smart 500 power supply. I know what you're thinking out there. If you're going DEEPCOOL on the case, why didn't you go DEEPCOOL on everything else? But we're under price constraints, so we wanted to keep this economical for him and yet powerful enough for him to play some good games on. So we're going to go with our primary hard drive is actually going to be a 120 gigabyte M.2 drive. Now, that's an obvious, guys. Your primary hard drive should either be solid state or M.2, period. There really is nothing else. For our secondary drive, we're going to go with the standard 1 terabyte mechanical. It gives him options to upgrade in the future, but you know, it's economical and it's not going to, blow your price out, and it's still going to work okay for a storage drive. But you definitely want that M.2 or that solid state as your primary drive. Also, and now this is where we really got hit hard, guys. Now, as I'm pretty sure all of you guys know, especially if you're in the computer business, we are in a video card desert right now. Thanks to the fact that Bitcoin is shooting back up, all decent low-end gaming video cards, the RX 480s, the RX 580s, even some of the lower GTX 970s and all that are getting so expensive that it literally blows the price of your budget PC out. You'll spend half or 3/4 of your budget on a silly video card. So we kind of had to pull back on that just a little bit. So what we went with was the Zotek G4730. Now granted, this is not a super high-end card. This is barely a mid-range card. However, it does have 4 gig of RAM on it, and we did check out the videos and verify that it was going to play fine in Fortnite on medium, and even Warzone on medium to low settings. It plays pretty smooth. So for what he's doing, it'll be fine. Obviously, it would not have been my card of choice. You guys know that if I'm building a low-end gaming machine, it's either going to be an RX 580 or 590, something along those lines. But getting video cards these days at any kind of a reasonable price it's impossible. And I hate that. I hate that it's like that, but you all know how it is. So there you are. All right, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to clear up our desk here. We're going to crack open this case. Let's see what we're working with. I'm excited, man. DEEPCOOL. Here we go. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic new year. I want to apologize for that little bit of a delay between my videos there. I've been working on several videos of Christmas presents that I got, one of which is an amazing studio lighting setup. Now you'll notice we're still on the same old lighting with this blinding LED thing up here. But in the next video, hopefully I'll get to show you guys that lighting setup that they got me and maybe get it set up and shoot some tests on it. But as most of you guys know, over the last year, we've done a lot of upgrades to the studio, both in cameras and in lighting and area. So it's actually been pretty nice. So, all right, let's take a look at what we got going here. Yeah, this is a wide, it's not tall, it's fat, and I like that. Let's take a look and see what we got here. All righty. All right, put that right over there. And let's see what we got, what we're working with here. All right, so right off the bat, I'm noticing there's a lot of ventilation out the top. That's a great thing. Now, deep cool, I would expect that. I mean, that's kind of what they are, you know? Let's see. Ooh, acrylic, not glass. Much better. All right. All right, so let me get Stumpy zoomed out here so you can see what we're dealing with. Glass side. I'm a big fan of that right off the bat. As you can see, glass front. That's nice too. Now, it looks like it's got a place in here for actually for 3 fans in the front. They are not populated at the moment. It does have the power supply in its own enclosure down here. I do like that about it. It does have 1 fan pre-installed up here, which is pretty nice. So overall, oh, and unlike that last case, and in case you guys forgot this, I'll go ahead and throw a link up here. This thing actually has some cable concealing in the back here because your case is not sitting right on the base. You actually have some place to hide stuff. That itself makes this about 100 times better than that last one, I can tell you that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and get the motherboard prepped, and then we'll crack this open, we'll get the motherboard seated in here, and then we'll see what we're looking at here. Here we go. All right, the Gigabyte A320M. Now, this, I don't believe that this board actually has Wi-Fi. Let me take a look here, but I'm pretty sure that it doesn't. Not that that's a big deal. I was going to add an internal Wi-Fi card to this anyway. No, it doesn't. So I figured it was something like that. Gigabit LAN, but yeah, nothing Wi-Fi. But we're going to add Wi-Fi into it anyway. So, all right, let's crack this open. And I don't know about you guys, but I have built a lot of PCs using this exact board. They're solid. They really are. I haven't had too many problems with them at all. So, all right, now, in his CPU, he actually has the stock fan that came with this. Ordinarily, I would replace that, but given the fact that this is a Ryzen and they don't run natively that hot anyway, I don't think we're going to have to do that. Let me see if this is going to match up. And it will. It'll match up directly to these once we remove these brackets. So we're going to do that too. All right, let's get that done. And get our good old-fashioned iFixit kit. And let's get this bracket off of here. Now, when you pull these old plastic brackets off, you want to make sure that you leave the back plane on, because you're actually going to screw down the fan into the old back plane. And if you don't leave that or you lose that, you will have a problem because you won't be able to screw anything else into it, that's for sure. All right. All right. And put that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and mount our processor real quick. And now we're going to mount our fan. Now our CPU fan is over here, so what we're going to do is we're going to mount this to where it's on the bottom and coming up from the back. And you don't want to over tighten this right away, guys, because you want to make sure that you've got all 4 of the screws in the holes. And then once you've got them all in, then you go ahead and secure them down. Now, these have lockouts, so they will only go to a certain point and then they will stop. There we go. There we go. Now they're on. So, nice and mounted. I'm going to put a loop in here. And we're going to go ahead and plug this into the CPU fan slot. Just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and get our M.2 mounted now since we've got this open and out. So we're going to unscrew this screw right here. Set that aside. And take our M.2 drive and get it mounted as well. Now this is a 120 gigabyte M.2. Plenty for the primary drive. Once again though, we were working on a very constrained budget, so we had to keep it under that budget. All right, let's go ahead and get our RAM mounted. And this is standard G.Skill DDR4 and two 8 gigabyte modules. There we go. I think ultimately what he was trying to do was to buy components individually and save them up in order to build himself the gaming PC. So that's why we had a couple components that he brought, plus the couple of components that we ended up getting for him. There we go. All right, now we got our RAM mounted. All right, so as you can see, we've got our board all prepped and ready. Let's go ahead and clean up the area here, crack the side of this case, and let's see what we're working with. This is the fun part. Yeah, I tell you guys, one of the funnest parts is getting inside these things and seeing what the case looks like. I've reviewed a lot of these cases, and it seems like every one of them, how do you put this? For lack of a better term, they have their own personality. And DEEPCOOL has a history, kind of like Thermaltake, where you know, they're known for certain properties and their quality. And man, that is a serious piece of glass, guys. That is really nice. We're going to set that over here. There we go. And let's go ahead and crack the back too so we can see what we're looking at. I want to make sure Stumpy is nice and angled here so we can see everything in here. All right, so taking a look at the front, pretty standard in here. It is kind of like the other one where it's see-through, but not nearly that bad a quality. I love the fact that they actually have the separator between the power supply and the motherboard. I really do kind of dig that. Lots of places to route cabling in here. Flipping her around. One of those things that I really do like is the fact that you can mount your solid-state drives back here, although we don't have a solid-state drive in this case since we're using the M.2. But we do have our 1 terabyte mechanical, which is going to go right down here. And it comes with all the screws and all the attachments and all that for that too. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this board mounted, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so now we've got the motherboard mounted. I wanted to kind of give you guys an overview. Everything went in there very, very well. It's nice and smooth. I love the fact that this is open on the bottom down here. Now, I know we're using a smaller form factor motherboard, but it would actually support the next size up as well without any problem. And it looks really good. I got to tell you, with this black case, this black interior, and this kind of industrial look on this board, this is kind of coming together. So maybe this will look pretty good. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead and mount the power supply next, and then we're going to start routing a few of the cables, and let's see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to be right back with you. All right, as you can see, we now have the power supply mounted and all of our cables routed back here. Now, I wish this had been a modular power supply. However, once again, working on a budget. So, you know, every penny counts when you're trying to squeeze as much as you can under that dollar amount. So we're going to make this work, though, because you can actually have considerably more room to conceal cabling than you did on the other one. So, all right. So our next phase is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the primary hard drive mounted, and then we're going to start routing some cabling in here because I want to make sure that we've got a good place to conceal everything and see what she's going to look like. I have faith, though. I'm liking how it's coming together so far. All right, guys, so I did want to show you one interesting thing on the back here. Now, as I was mounting the primary hard drive down here, or excuse me, the secondary hard drive down here, this has got the same slide-out trays that you see on every other case that's out there. However, the newer ones are plastic generally, and they've got the small little brads that go into the side to hold the hard drive in. And while that does cut down on cost, they are kind of cheap. This, solid metal all the way through. So that's a score for Thermaltake. They did not cheap out on the little stuff. So I wanted to show you that. Let me go ahead and get this mounted. We'll keep on moving. All right, guys, so I wanted to stop here for just a second. This is the difference between a good case and a bad case when it comes to cabling, all right? You'll notice that I brought this is all the front side stuff for the power and all that. I brought the cable straight up the side here, and you can see how this contours, and there's perfect places to hide this. And it's going to clean up nicely back here, so we're not going to have any cables floating around or popping out, and it's real easy to trace it if you happen to have any issues with it. So this is one of the things I'm talking about with quality of builds. It makes a difference. It really does, guys. All right, so I'm going to continue up with our power, and I'm going to continue getting our hard drives in here along with our SATA cables, and we are almost ready to fire this bad boy up. Here we go. All right, guys, and like I was saying about the cabling, You know, the case is designed almost like it knew exactly where you wanted to route your cabling to keep it nice and secure and yet still leave a serviceable loop in there so there's no strain on the cable. So hey, kudos guys, that is a really nice design. Now we're going to get to the fun part that I know you guys have been waiting on, and that is this incredibly high quality video card we're going with. Yeah, okay, I heard the laughter out there. I know you guys were thinking about it. So let's check out this Zotek G4730. And I wanted to look at this before we go any further because I have to determine if it even takes a PCI Express power connector. So let's crack this thing open. I'm willing to bet, and if I was placing bets, I'd have to say it probably doesn't take a power connector, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's crack this bad boy open. Bad boy. All right, so we got our drivers that we'll never use. And you guys, you're used to these video cards these days that are like as long as the case and that weigh 4 pounds and stuff. This is not that, yeah. But that's okay. That's all right. That's not its purpose. All right, so that's the, if you're going to mount this into a small form factor, that does come in handy occasionally. There are some older computers that if you want to upgrade the video card, especially if you're dealing with a smaller factor PC, that you have to have that. And this is the only thing you could put in there, so I kind of understand. All right, oof, big old fins, look at that, Zotek. Hey, you know what? At least it's PCI Express, at least it's 4 gigs, it's what it is, right? I mean, that's what we can tell. It does have HDMI, VGA, and DVI out, so that's kind of nice, so you could use multiple monitors if you wanted to. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get this mounted. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna go, oh, there we go. And it is only a single factor card, so that's kind of nice too, sort of. And it looks like it's going to pull in right here on the second one. So we'll pull that out. Now, I will say, that, and I've complained about this before, with companies kind of cheaping out on these. Everybody does it, so it's no big deal. But they've got these little bend back and forth tabs in order to put the cards in. They work, they're fine, but you can cut your fingers on them. And I do enjoy the fact that some of them, they actually have the inserts, you can just pop them out. So that's kind of cool too. But it is what it is, it works. This video card does not have any kind of an external power source, so we will have a nice clean build in here, that's for sure. All right, get that bad boy in there. There we go. Snapped in like we planned it. And get us a screw, get that thing secured. You wouldn't want this much power running away on you. All right, so as far as the front of the case is concerned, it looks like that's it. What you're seeing is the actual complete build for this thing. There were no problems. It was very simple to get this in here. And as you can see, you've got a ton of room in here to add on extra cards, anything else that you want to. So what I'm going to do is, let me get the SATA cable on for the secondary hard drive and get the remaining cabling here patched in. It won't take a couple minutes. I'll be right back. We'll fire it up. And there she blows, guys. Got her all set up and ready to go in the back. SATA cable's in. We route it around to this side, straight on up in the connector here. Got a nice, clean, open build. Let's fire this thing up and see if she works, shall we? All right, guys, here we go. Everything coming on, looking good so far. All right. BIOS has been reset. I like that. All right, let's take a look at what we got going here, guys. So it looks like we are... All right, and what I'm primarily making sure of is that it does actually see both of the hard drives, and it does. They are in place. The RAM is registering all 16 gigs, so we should be fine there. And we're going to go ahead and start loading Windows. Now, I'm going to save you guys the pain of watching Windows load, because as you know, it's going to work. However, for the DEEPCOOL case, I got to tell you guys, big thumbs up. I am impressed with it. I like it. I will definitely use it in the future because frankly, guys, this didn't cost any more than that other case, and it's a lot higher quality. I mean, you've got rooms and rails up top to install liquid cooling, the triple fan if you wanted to. You could install it in the front. You could theoretically get as many as, that I can see, 7 extra fans in this thing to pull out the ventilation. So this is a really, really, really solid case. but I got a kick out of it. I really did enjoy this build. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will, on my next video, and it will be coming sooner rather than later, I promise you, we're going to go through that lighting setup, and then I got a really neat Christmas present that I haven't even gotten to open yet. And I wanted to open it with you guys because it actually, right out of the box, needs a repair. So, you know me, that's going to be fun. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video. Have a fantastic week. If I don't see you sooner, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.